Then one day saying, someday I'll do it, kind of hit me harder than it ever had before. This is going to be an interesting video. One of the biggest self-inflicted challenges I've put on myself over the years is something that I'd only talked about forever and just never put into practice. Does it sound familiar? Does it sound like something maybe you've done at some point in your life where you've talked about doing something for years, but just never put any action behind it? If so, stick with me. You're gonna like this video. This was something that I felt very passionate about. Even when I just thought about it, I knew I could do it. You're probably in the video again, Miss Clo-Clo. I always gotta make my appearance. I got to be on camera. But every time I thought about it, or I was openly talking about it, mentioning it in casual conversation, I'd say, someday I'll do it. Then one day saying, someday I'll do it, kind of hit me harder than it ever had before. I knew I was getting older, but I really started to think about how my body was starting to actually feel older. Do you know what I mean? That's when I came to the realization that it's now or never. I remember walking with a friend who'd done this time and time again. She'd encouraged me to do it. So right then and there, mid-neighborhood walk, I decided to put my words into action. I said, I'm gonna do it. I'm actually going to put this into practice. And I'm gonna do it next year before I turn 50. Yes, before I turn 50. I'm on my knees and it's hurting. That's the 50. The immediate thought was a combination of, oh crap, WTH, and how. The oh crap was, what did I just commit to? The WTH was, what the hell was I thinking? And the how was, how am I going to even train for this? But I also knew that at this moment, I had already committed to it. No excuses. That's a lot of emotion right there, isn't it? A lot of emotional roller coasters in that process. And the truth was, it was hard. It was really hard, not just from a mindset standpoint, but creating a plan and following through with it and actually committing, taking action, and actually doing it. Not only did I need to restrict my diet and more strict with my workout routine, but I also had to work out more often. I was working out 5 days a week instead of the 3 to 4 that I typically would do. Okay, that was exhausting. And it wasn't just running, but I had to add weights and do some CrossFit training and add those into my normal routine, which now became abnormal, which became the new normal. I was working out on days I hadn't before, mostly because I'm an early bird and I just love getting up in the mornings before everybody else is up and it's super quiet and going out and running. And I just love it. It was a great way to start my day. Now I had to start switching it up and running later and running on the weekends when I had taken the time off. So I told my friend that I was going to do it. When I say I'm going to do something verbally and intentionally, tell someone I'm going to do something, I commit to it and I make it happen. I decided last week to go ahead and sign up for a half marathon. Actually, I signed up for 2, thanks to my friend Barb, who suggested it. If I want to get one done this year, sign up for 2, make sure you hit your goal. I'll include a link in the description so you can go check out my stories and also the photos that we're taking of what? The half marathon that I ran. In fact, I ran it twice. And as you'll notice in one of my videos, I mention never again. My medal. I finished, and I will never be doing another one again. Do you know what that reason is? Because during this process of training for something that I actually was very passionate about and wanted to do and had talked about for years, was actually something that I learned through the training and the process in the program in order to make this happen. I actually started to hate running, and I've been running my entire life. All right, I gotta get up. I can't do this on my knees anymore. I'm gonna get Cup on here. Cup on here. I know. Say hi. Have you ever really done something like this? I'm sure you have, where at some point in your life, whether it was personally or professionally, or it was something small or it was something big, it's something you've done before and you want to make it bigger, or it was something you've never even considered before, but it was always kind of like a dream goal that you wanted to have, almost like a bucket list item. The reason why I wanted to talk about this week is because in my Facebook memories, I had some photos that popped up in my memories from this week, and it was from 2 years ago. And I thought that was such a weird yet wonderful experience that when I thought about everything that went into that, from just the thought from years ago of wanting to run a half marathon, saying it and thinking, can I really do it? Not really knowing what was involved in actually doing it until I was actually in it. And then I'd already committed to it. So I had to follow through with it. I really had to back off of the running for a while because I really had lost my passion for it. And what I learned in the process is, apart from all the training and stuff, which I liked that part, I liked having a schedule, I liked having an end goal and making all of that happen. The part I didn't like is having the flexibility in my week to run when I wanted to run. And I had to start running later in the day, especially on the weekends, to get used to the different times, because your half marathons and even your marathons, if you run one of those, I'll never do that. But they start later in the morning. So I was used to, running and training before the sun came up. And then having the race actually start at like 9 o'clock in the morning, that's a big difference in time. And I learned that even all of this training that I had gone through, it still hadn't prepared me fully for some of the unknown things. So the temperature differences and just the longer distances. And when you see a trailer, you think you know what the trail is going to be like, or the path is, and then it ends up being different. And how do you pivot along the way to keep going and keep that motivation moving forward so that you can actually achieve your goal? Crossing that finish line, I thought I was going to pass out, so I'm lucky that I didn't. And I'm so thankful the girls held up a sign and stuff. I'll post those pictures, but I'm very thankful I got it done. Goal accomplished. So I ended up doing 2 half marathons, and in the first one, I ended up stopping. But it was way hotter than I'd trained for. I ran the entire time until I got between, I think it was mile 11 and 12. And I had to stop. It was the first hottest day of the year that day, of course. I'd been training in cooler weather, and all of a sudden it's like super hot. Not a cloud in the sky. It was no breeze. The trail that we were on was different than it had been in previous years. So there was hardly any shade. There were hills. So there were all these things that mentally I had prepared for, and it wasn't happening that way. So my very first half marathon, I planned on it being easier, cooler, and just all of those things psychologically had really hampered me, or I felt like it was kind of holding me back from being my best. I was creating excuses in my mind. And if you talk to my friend, I'll tell you right now, if you ask her how I was throughout the process, I was complaining almost the entire time. I'm not a complainer, and I was complaining almost the entire time. I'm like, I just got to do this. I can't believe that it's this hot. I can't believe we've got these hills. I've got to stop. This just sucks. I mean, just like left and right, left and right. And I'm like, this isn't me, but it just kept coming out. And it was just, no, this isn't what I planned for. No, this isn't what I expected. This isn't what I was told in all the information. And I still made it through. I still finished that half marathon. Now, I felt like I was going to die. I thought my body was going to give out at the end. Not a lie and not an exaggeration. I could barely talk because everything was just so whacked out. And so I felt very good that I had achieved that goal. But that entire time, I'm like, this just sucks. Even though I was proud of myself for all of the training and sticking to the program, restricting my diet, doing all the things that I was supposed to be doing, crossing my T's and dotting my I's, I still made it happen. But in that process, I really started to hate running. and I love running. So, and because I committed to doing 2, I really didn't have to. I only signed up for 2 because I wanted to make sure that if something happened and I couldn't attend the first one, that I was signed up for a second one, I could still fulfill my goal for that year and do 1 half marathon. But I thought, hey, I stopped in this one. My time wasn't as good as I had wanted it to be. I wanted it to be under 2 hours and 15 minutes. And it ended up being like 2:16:48 or something like that. So I was a little bit over, so I wanted to do better on the second one. So trained throughout the summer, came up to the second one, and it was the coldest day. It was the first coldest day that we had that year, after the summer. And again, I hadn't been training for that, so it just kind of threw me out. And I'm like, you know what? We've done this before. It's a mindset change. It's a matter of just staying focused. You can do this. And for some reason, I just wasn't as mentally into it as I should have been, and still managed to go all the way through it. I stopped a lot. But interestingly enough, I stayed with the pace of the person that was 2:10. I ended up getting, my time was lower than that. So that's why I'm like, maybe it was somebody who had a slower or a faster pace. So my time ended up being 2:09:09 or something, like 2 hours, 9 minutes, 9 seconds, something like that. The point being, I did achieve my goal of getting under the 2:15. I beat my time from before. And before that race started, I said, you know what? I really would like to get below 2 hours and 10 minutes. And I did. So the reason why I'm sharing these stories with you is because it's a comparison, right? We all have things that we want to do. We all have good intentions, and we have high expectations of things that we want to achieve in life. But things just happen. We either come up with excuses, life gets in the way, we decide that we don't want to do something, but then we feel regret, or we feel like maybe we shouldn't have backed out of what we had originally talked about doing. We want to feel good about those things, right? Especially if it's something that you want to achieve in your lifetime. So I say that because I think it's important to understand what triggers you to commit and follow through with something that you really want to do. It could be anything. It could be something like running a half marathon. It could be something like running a 5K. It could be anything in your life that you say, I want to do this before I die. And I say to verbally commit it out loud to a person who, when you say something, if you're like me, if I say something like that and I verbally committed to it, for me, the mindset is I need to follow through with it, because I just said I would. And I don't want to have to go to that person or anybody else who heard that I was going to do it and say, nah, I backed out. I decided I didn't want to. Because you know what the question's going to be? Why'd you back out? What happened? What excuse do I have other than, I just didn't feel like it? You're the one who has to live with your decisions, whether you go through something or you don't. You're the only person who knows if it's an excuse or if it's not. The point being is that you just need to be okay with it. And as long as you're okay with it, then you're good. But if you start thinking through things and you realize that you're not okay with something, then that's when it's time to reevaluate and really figure out what the problem is. What's really holding you back? Is it an excuse? Is it a lack of a resource? Is it lack of understanding what it is that you're getting yourself into? Is it a lack of knowledge or training? Because there's things out there that can help you with that. Is it lack of an accountability partner? Then there are people out there who specialize in being accountability partners. If there's something, I've worked with a lot of people recently with video and helping them become confident just being on video so that they can start doing more video marketing for their business. And a lot of times it's just not knowing where to start, right? So helping people understand that process and just taking those baby steps to, be in front of a camera and not even hit record, and then hit record, and doing different things that can help build the confidence and understand the process that goes into creating a video and helping your business and your ideal customers connect with you, because now they get to see you and they get to connect with you, right? So that could be one of your goals. You're like, I just want to create a video. great. If you don't know how, create a plan. There's all kinds of them out there that are free. If you want to have an accountability partner that can help you with getting comfortable on video and create a marketing plan and how to incorporate video into your content, well, let me know. There's a program I have put together already that helps people do that. And I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it on the phone or a Zoom call and see if it's a good fit for you. And if it is, I would love to have you in the program. But you'll never know unless you actually take that step, right? So that's what I wanted to review this week. I thought it would be an interesting change to talk about some personal experience or challenge that I've encountered in my life. And I just thought this was an interesting week because it was the 2-year anniversary since I did my second, so I guess it was October, my second half marathon. I did say I'll never do it again. And you know what? I'm confident with that decision. I won't be changing it, and I just verbalized it to a bunch of you. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate you investing your time, your precious time, watching this video. And until next time, make today great.